franktalks.com.
This program does not represent the views of this station and may be considered offensive to some listeners. This program may contain mature subject matter, including frank discussions of controversial topics. It is intended for mature, open-minded audiences. Discretion is highly advised. This program is entirely independently produced by and is copyrighted by Frank. It is broadcast here under license.
So why don't we get right to our interview? Mr. Vito Balenzano, welcome to Studio Vito.
Thank you, Frank. It's nice to be here.
I'm going to read a little bit of your biography here that was sent to me as part of my research material. Producer Vito G. Balenzano. What does the G stand for?
I'd say great.
Great.
That's why I keep it as an abbreviation right now, just so that, you know.
Vito Great Balenzano.
No, it's just an Italian middle name. We'll keep it anonymous for now.
Okay, an Italian middle name, but you go with the great. That's definitely Italian ego right there for you here in. Okay, why for you say that me?
Why?
Why for you say that me?
You know, it's the way it is tonight.
Did you notice he totally, he finds it so acceptable being Italian that I would say that, whereas the people who are not Italian here in studio are laughing their heads off because of the way, why for me I talk you like this. But Vito, of course, well, I'm Italian too, so I can get away with saying this, there's no racism going on here. We know what it's like. We grew up with the same type of family situation. So why for me I don't continue reading here. Vito G, the great Balenzano's credits include the feature films Pure, Jack and Ella, Witch Hunter, and two critically acclaimed short films, Fishtails, which earned the top prize for performing arts and entertainment at the Cannes Pro 99, and Lost and Found, which was the winner of the Canadian Society of Cinematographers Award in the year 2000. Both have aired nationally across Canada. His most recent short film, The Legend of Razorback, was nominated in the 2003 American Society of Cinematographers Awards ceremony. It was produced at the American Film Institute in Los Angeles and stars Kevin McCarthy, who's done such films as Invasions of the Body Snatchers and Twilight Zone. Vito has received a scholarship to attend the Canadian Film Centre's producing program, which is Canada's foremost institution for advanced training and development in film and television production. It was founded by the Academy Award winner Norman Jewison. Vito has participated in the NSI, the National Screen Institute, Global Marketing Program for Producers in collaboration with the Global Television Network for the National Marketplace. Vito was also selected for the CIFVF, Canadian Independent Film and Video Fund, mentoring program for new producers and developers. He is widely enjoyed for his dynamic lectures as a guest speaker on numerous panels. In April 2001, as part of the Focus on Emerging Quebec Artists, Vito was featured as a Quebec entrepreneur in the Montreal Gazette newspaper, and in spring 2001, he was on the cover of Quebec's Italian magazine La Comunitia as a tribute to local filmmakers. He has recently been asked to sit on the board of directors of the CIBPA, the Italo-Canadian Business and Professionals Association. Whoa!
Wow, that sounds like a nice, interesting person to meet.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe you can introduce us to him.
Yeah, someday when I find him. It sounds more impressive there on paper.
It's going to be one of those shows, folks.
It's going to be one of those shows.
So let's start off here. You have an impressive resume. Now, how old are you, please?
31 this year.
So you're only 31, and yet you've already got a couple of feature films under your belt. I got to start off by asking you, what's your history in becoming an independent filmmaker? I'd like to know what motivated you, and how far back did you know that this is the path you wanted to be on?
I started officially working in film. I clocked it when I was 20 years old. And I said, okay, I'm going to have a 10-year plan to be where I'd like to be, which is producing films on my own, independently. And at 31, I could say that I've done that. But it's been over 10 years to do that. It's been a long journey. It's been a very difficult journey. I think the 10 years has made me who I am. And I've learned so much just by seeing and doing that it makes me a better person. And I literally had to start from the bottom up. I didn't have a school background in film, which I desperately wanted in the beginning. I had a science background, pure and applied science, which I got from Vanier College. And I knew then that I wanted to go into filmmaking or animation or anything to do with that entertainment, just from a couple electives that I'd taken at the time. And I just enjoyed it. I was also very good at sciences. I enjoyed it. It was very challenging. It was fantastic. But you know what? My passion wasn't there, and I figured you only have one life to live, so follow your bliss, and that's what I decided to do. I don't think anybody told me it would be difficult to follow your bliss, and that's what I did. I couldn't get into any university with my background, ironically, because it was all science, and there was very few artistic aspects in my portfolio. I didn't have any, actually. And I think I was a bit pigeonholed. I was told that I wasn't good enough. I was told that I would never make it. I was told that I didn't have what it took to be an artist, to be a filmmaker, by some of the top, professors in Montreal. And it was a little bit frustrating because when you know what you want to do and you're ready to do that, and you're being told you're not allowed to be taught that, it's one of the worst feelings in the world. And I have to admit, there was a low point in my life where I didn't know what to do. All my friends were going to university. I didn't know what to tell my parents. I had great grades, and I couldn't explain to them, why I wasn't going to school anymore. And my dad, being ethnic background and old school, said, well, if you're not going to go to school, you better go to work. And you better go quickly so that if you want to go back to school, I'll support you. I'll pay for anything you want to go to, but just do something that makes you happy. And I managed to get a job working in a bio-research facility from my background. It was a great job. It was interesting. It was ironic. I just never thought I'd be using that in my early years. I worked on weekends and holidays, and I used the weekdays. I put it aside for getting work and experience in film. So 5 days a week, I thought of different ways to get into the film and television industry. And on weekends, I would go to work and earn money to support myself in the meantime, and try to get to where I wanted to go. So in the first year alone, I think maybe I got 2-3 days of actual work on a film set. And that's for year one. Year two, maybe I got 3 to 4 weeks altogether working on different film sets and commercials and odd television series. I think year 3 was maybe 3 to 6 months worth of work. And I think by year 4, I was turning down work and repositioning it to get other friends in on some of the work. So that's 4 years. And think about every night, my family, my friends asking me, so when are you going to give this up and get a real job? When are you going to, take things seriously? When are you going to go back to school? When are you going to decide that it's not going to work out? We want to support you, but obviously it's been a year. You've only worked 3-4 days. Obviously it's not working out. And I would just tell everybody, if I empty my pockets, I don't have any money to show you where I've gone, but just the experience and what I've learned, I know that I'm getting closer. I can feel it. I'm happy, and I really want to try to continue doing this. And, they would shake their heads and say, fine, we'll support you and keep going. And, give yourself a deadline to maybe get back in the loop because time's going by. It was difficult, see all your friends graduating and coming out with degrees and getting great jobs and making great money. And, it was an interesting time, I have to be honest.
What were you really thinking there? I mean, was there ever a time when you decided you wanted to get out? Was there ever a point where you really seriously considered giving up your dream and just, getting a regular job?
It never crossed my mind. I obviously was challenged by what to tell my peers and my parents every night at the dinner table. One of the questions that came up, so what are you going to do? So are you going back to school? Are you going to work more, at the research lab? Why don't you stay there? Why don't you move up? They gave you a promotion. You didn't take it. I said, yeah, it's $1 more, but it's that much more responsibility, and it takes time away from what I really want to do, which is work in film. And, even the first few jobs I got weren't glorious. They were very, very bottom of the food chain jobs. And my father was a little, preoccupied, saying, you have all this education, and what are you doing, running errands and, cleaning garbage off the floor and, cleaning up after other people? Is this what you really want to do? It's tough. It's tough to answer that question every day. And there were days where, I would blow up. I said, just, stop asking me. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to try to do. And when I think it's time to give up, I'll give up. But right now I'm not ready to do that. So I think it goes aggravating. But after a certain point, when things really started going well, I think that everybody changed their attitude and started saying, well, this is good, fantastic. They were telling their friends and neighbors, my son works in film, but they couldn't really explain what I was doing because really it was always different.
What were some of the jobs that you had while you were still at the lower end, at the bottom of the barrel?
The very first job I got was, and I took it with a big smile. I showed up on set one day through a friend, and it was a film set, Montreal, I think in the in the 90s, and I think there was an explosion on the set. And so I walked in there, and everyone's walking out, and the unit manager comes up, who's my boss, and gives me a really big broom and says, okay, by tomorrow morning, this set has to be cleaned because we're going to reshoot it again. And so think of a giant explosion in a big club, bottles, chairs, burnt, and I had to sweep it all up, put it all in the bin, so the next morning they can basically set up to do it again. And I did such a good job. I did it so happily that obviously he gave me more work. He saw that I was glad to do what I did. I asked him if there's anything else I could do. I'd be really happy to do it. Just let me know, and I'd be present at the time. And I think obviously he liked that, and he gave me more work. He liked the attitude. So so basically we call it a production assistant, a PA, which is a glorified word for a gopher, if you will. And that was anything between cleaning up. I also did a lot of parking duty, which is, the set was way over there and the parking lot was way down 2 blocks over. And I was at the parking lot making sure that everybody parked their cars properly so that we can fit the most amount of cars. There were other times when I was an extra on some film sets. I mean, my motto was whatever it takes to get on a film set, whether it's behind the scenes, in front of the camera, next to other people, meeting new people, seeing the same faces over and over. Maybe somebody will recognize me. Maybe someone will say, well, let's get this guy to do the job. And I think what I've learned over the years is that the majority of it is being at the right place at the right time. And experience is great, but you have to be there to take advantage of it, So, I'd say the bottom jobs were,
Okay, now we looked at some of the bottom jobs. Let's look at maybe one of the better jobs that you had. What job in that history of jobs that you get that kind of indicated to you was the turning point?
The turning point was when I became a cast driver on productions in Montreal. I had to join the union at that point, which was a major step. I was very young. I joined the union. I was very scared at first, but I did, and there was a lot of benefits to joining. I was very happy, and I participated in all their activities. And as a cast driver, I was able to, still there, I had to start driving trucks and minibuses and driving extras to and fro, film sets, equipment. But later on, as I stuck through it and I did it well, I would get a minivan and I would start to drive actors, crew members, eventually producers, directors, VIP cast, until eventually I was one of the top, I'd say, drivers, with that luxury of having to drive 1 or 2 particular people. I was given a very nice Cadillac, an expense report or expense account, and I took these people to and from the set. I would take care of them on the set, off the set, whether it was actors or producers. And it was special because in the car I would have moments of intimacy, in the sense that one-on-one I would be able to ask them questions and they would ask me questions, and you got to know them better. And I learned a lot just by listening and watching people. And I think that was one of the better jobs. And I saw that I was getting somewhere, making contacts, making friends, being very polite, and helping people when I could. I mean, when you have a car, you're able to get people around and do favors. And I was very careful to make sure I did it on my time and that I did it well. And people remember that. And, I think every time they left, they said, listen, if you ever need anything, give me a call. And I did.
We're talking in studio with Mr. Vito Balenzano, Vito G. Balenzano, an independent filmmaker, here on Frank Talks, Pleasures and Lifestyles.
Honest, frank approaches, trusted professional conduct, timely taboo topics, and the most eclectic ensemble of interview guests ever produced. Listen in to Frank Talks to learn about the different sides of the human spirit. Be sure to visit our website at www.franktalks.com for the most up-to-date information and the latest downloads of programs just like the one you're listening to now.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by Everything Out of Her Mouth is a Test, a man's guide to the emotional needs of women. What would your life be like if you knew exactly what to say and do with women? Learn how to handle women's tests by addressing her emotional needs. By this, you create the type of attraction that will make her see you as the one. This book is a guide for men to understand exactly what a woman means when she speaks. Is that worth changing your life forever? Buy this book at franktalks.com now.
Guys, does your bachelor pad look as frightening as an Elvis convention? Then you need the Pimping Your Pad seminar. Do you own a twin bed and still love your Star Wars sheets? Then you need the Pimping Your Pad seminar. Is the only source of artificial light in your bachelor pad the bare, dusty bulb hanging from the ceiling? Then you need the Pimping Your Pad seminar. Do your friends walk into your apartment and think you have been robbed? Then you need the Pimping Your Pad seminar. Do you think that minimalist means barren as the Gobi Desert? Then you need the Pimping Your Pad seminar. If your bathroom is home to a colony of anything, then you need the Pimping Your Pad seminar. The Pimping Your Pad seminar and telephone consultations, only available at franktalks.com.
You're listening to Frank Talks, Pleasures and Lifestyles. And I'm Frank, because I have to be. We're in studio today talking with Vito G. Great Balenzano, an independent filmmaker. Welcome back, Vito.
Thank you.
Let's take a different direction here in our interview. I'd like you now to talk about some of the film projects that you are currently working on and maybe some that you've worked on in the past. Which ones are foremost in your mind?
Right now, my day is split up between two projects. One is Jack and Ella, a feature that we shot a couple of years ago that now I'm in sales mode, if you will. I'm selling to Canadian broadcasters. So I'll talk a little bit about that. And then there's Pure, another feature film which we shot last October, last fall, and now we're in our post-production stage. So basically, a day will consist of making calls to for Jack and Ella to different broadcasters. We have sales to the movie network, and I'm negotiating right now a show date. So probably this fall, we're looking at October. As early as this October, Jack and Ella will be on the movie network, which is good. That's Canadian pay television, East Coast. And I've also been very fortunate with Movie Central, which is pay television on the West Coast. And they picked up Jack and Ella for their pay television slot, and they were really nice. They were fantastic. They picked it up for next year, I think September, October of 2005. So basically, in Canada, we have two major broadcasters for pay television, which is Movie Central and Movie Network, and we've successfully been able to be shown and broadcast on both. So that makes us very, very happy. Very difficult sales to make, so it makes us very proud to have the film shown. At the same time, there's other broadcasters I'm calling across the country and trying to get the best price, trying to get them to show the film. It's an independent film. It's very, very it's unique, and it has to fit the right profile, and the right audience needs to see it. So I got to pinpoint the right broadcasters and make sure that they're aware of the film and the potential for their different audiences and different time slots as well. As a Canadian producer, I can do that. I don't have to give that over to a distributor. I could choose to, but since I know the same people that they do, I'm very open, and I'm a people person, so I enjoy calling and saying, listen, I got a movie. I'm a Montreal-based producer. I got this film. We produced it. Canadian film. We would love to be, picked up by you guys. Can I send you a package? Can you get back to me by such and such a date, and let's talk about it? And it's been very good so far. It's been a good experience. Very time-consuming. And of course, there's always a bit of bargaining involved, and there's business. And because I, as independent means I do a lot on my own, that means scheduling, coordinating, secretarial work, legal work, accounting work, just all of it put together. And really, it does take its toll. There's not enough hours in a day to do what I want to do. So that's as far as broadcast sales go for Jack and Ella. Also, we've been very fortunate. There's an international sales agent in Toronto, a company called Unreal Pictures, and they've picked up Jack and Ella for international sales, basically anything outside of Canada. And next year, they're going to screen the film at the Female Eye Film Festival in Toronto. I think it's the same weekend as International Women's Day. Our film was directed by Brenda Kiesel, a woman, writer, director. The lead character is a woman, so there's a lot of aspects that they can put in their festival. And from that point, they'll put together a marketing package and a press package, and they'll start selling the film internationally, Cannes, different markets. And that makes us happy too, because the film now is getting out. It's not a question of just making sales. It's a question of exposure. You know, all these people work for us for very, very modest rates, if not deferral. And the least I promised them was to get the film out there so that people can see their talent and see their hard work up on a screen somewhere. And yes, for our investors, money is great, but it's not the only thing that they invest. I think they invested in as much us, the filmmakers, as the film itself and its potential as a product to make sales.
What can you tell us about the story behind Jack and Ella?
The story behind Jack and Ella, I mean the story of the film or the story behind the making of the film?
The story of the film itself.
The story of the film itself. It revolves around a mixed couple, Jack and Ella, and how they have a crash encounter, they meet, they fall in love. And basically, before they really get to know each other, they're invaded by all these other people, friends and family and their neighbors in the community who are basically sucking, energy from their relationship because theirs is lacking. And it's just a lot about people, and different relationships. And there's a love story at the root of this, which almost begins at the end of the film, because that's when, the relationship actually is given a chance to begin.
And now, what about the making of Jack and Ella? What can you tell us about that? And keep in mind, this is in the vein that somebody might be listening to this show who's deciding or trying to decide if they want to become an independent producer such as yourself. What advice can you give them based on the making of Jack and Ella that you wish you had known when you first started?
Well, it's always difficult to get a project off the ground, and sometimes choosing the right story helps. It was a difficult story to get produced, but because of the director, a writer, and my business partner, also producer, she was very driven. She was very passionate about the project. She was relentless, in pushing me as far as she could to get me to get the film made. And that's what we did. I mean, when just getting investors and getting people, crew and actors, and the people that came out of the woodwork for this girl, for this woman, who believed in the story, which, I think a lot of the characters and the people in the story come from her background, or just pieces of her life. It's a story she really wanted to tell, and she gave it the light of day. Now, when I met her, she had been in development for quite a while.
If you could just pick up on that last thought, you're talking about the passion of your director, writer, and sounds like Brenda really had a major role in this project.
Very much, and still does. So we talk, I think, 2-3 times a week, just in regards to the project and where we are, what we'd like to do. We make all our decisions together. We decide on anything unanimously. That's the deal we made from the beginning, 50-50 down the middle. And, she's been a great partner to work with. I really appreciate her. And I think she's a very talented filmmaker, writer. And I think that she should be given more chances to do it again and again and again. I think other producers should seek her out and look for her work and look at the film itself and just see for themselves that it is a piece of art,
Where can people find more information on Jack and Ella?
Well, we have a website that they can go on to at www.jackandella.com, and there's a screener there. They can download the trailer. There's our poster, a beautiful poster, which I think has helped us sell the film, fantastically. Our two lead actors, Amy Sloan and Henri Pardot, they're just gorgeous to look at, and we love exposing them because they help sex up the film, And there's coordinates there, and there's different, I think there's press articles, there's a press kit, there's production stills if they want to look at the actual photos from the actual shoot. and I think there's a couple of reviews as well. So I think it's been looked at very positively. I think Brenda was voted one of Montreal's top 10 filmmakers in the Montreal Mirror recently by readers and voters. So we just picked up the Mirror, and there it was. We were very, very happy to see that, and they talked about her film a little bit. So that's very encouraging to see that there are people out there that want to see good films and independent films in Montreal.
We've only got a couple of minutes left. I'd really like you to talk about your current project. I believe the title of it is Pure.
Pure, yeah, directed by Jim Donovan. And that's a very good project as well. It takes place in the Montreal after-hours club scene. It's about a young girl in her teens, Misha, and she's trying to get a grip on her life and get herself on track. And it's really good because it's uplifting. Very good music, very visual. Jim has a great style. And right now we're in post-production. We're getting ready to do our final cut on the film, and then we start our sound editing, and then our music mixing, and then we put it all together. We're hoping to have the film ready for October. That's as early as we can have it ready. We'd like to open at Montreal FCMM. It's the Eccentric Film Festival, Nouveau Cinéma, Nouveau Média. So we're crossing our fingers for that. But ultimately, we think it's going to be a great film. It really has its fingers on the pulse, on the subculture of Montreal, and it's a film that would easily travel internationally. There are these cultures all over the world, the UK, Berlin, all over. We really believe it can do really well. A small film from Montreal, a small Anglo film, and I think that the agencies support us in this film, and it's very encouraging to see that. But it's a lot of work.
We're talking with Vito Balenzano, an independent filmmaker. He's just recently told us about his current projects here on Frank Talks, Pleasures and Lifestyles.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by the Calibrated Storytelling Seminar. Have you ever felt tongue-tied when talking to a woman and did not know what to say next? This seminar provides the structure to create personalized stories that connect to a woman's emotional needs. Calibration is about putting people into the categories and then modifying your behavior. Do you want to learn how to be truthful about who you are, but in an interesting and seductive way? If you want women to like you for the real you, then this seminar is for you. The Calibrated Storytelling Seminars and telephone consultations, only available at franktalks.com.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by Everything Out of Her Mouth is a Test, a man's guide to the emotional needs of women. Ladies, do you want the man in your life to understand you on your level? Do you want your man to be able to listen to and address all of your emotional needs? Show him how much you really want your relationship to be the best it can be. Everything Out of Her Mouth is a Test makes the perfect gift. The book, written by a man, for men, is endorsed by every woman that reads it. This book is a guide for men to understand exactly what a woman means when she speaks. Is that worth changing your life forever? Buy this book at franktalks.com now.
From Loser to Seducer is the story of Frank B. Kermit. This book marks the triumph of a nice guy over most of his inner demons. This includes going from being a loser to managing 5 lovers at the same time, his first Valentine's date with 2 women at the same time, and getting back the one that got away. Want to learn how you can change your life? Buy this book at franktalks.com.
You're listening to Frank Talks, Pleasures and Lifestyles. And I'm Frank, because I have to be. We're still in studio here with Vito G. Balenzano, an independent filmmaker. Time is running out, so we're going to have to cut this interview a little bit short. But before we go, I'd like to ask you, who are some of the people you've had a chance to work with that are memorable and that you'd like to let us know about?
People that I've worked with that I think are worth mentioning is my present producing partner, Marcel Giroux, who's been very helpful in just understanding a lot of the politics and difficulties that I'll be facing as a producer in the near future, and how it works with government funding and all the different documents that need to be handed in certain dates, and how to best behave in certain situations, when to play your cards and when to be clever, and how to face certain problems with experience, because that's what he has that I don't. I have the willingness. He has the experience. We make a very good team together. That's why Pure is doing very well. And that's why I got off the ground. I think it's a tribute to his determination as well to get a project done. It's important to be passionate about the project, but also to know how to get it off the ground. So he's somebody I'd mention. Recently, I've been talking to Vincenzo Guzzo of the Guzzo chains, and he's been really interesting to speak to on a business level and on a personal level, because he's always struggling and he's doing really well right now. He started very small, like I did, or like I think I did or am. And he's just someone to look up to, I think, and worth listening to. I think his trials and tribulations are something to commend, especially for a local Quebecer, Montrealer, and also from the Italian community. So those are just two people recently, that I think are worth mentioning and that helped me look at the future with different glasses.
All right. Just some now basic questions here. Let's talk about some of the sacrifices and obstacles you've had to overcome, the sacrifices you've had to make. Being a producer carries with it a certain view that when people hear you're a producer, they imagine a lavish lifestyle and lots of opportunity, both in a financial and social context. And what is your lifestyle?
Okay, well, you're right about what people think comes with the word producer, the title of being a producer. Usually I kind of shy away from telling people exactly I'm a producer because they think, oh, well, here's Mr. Big Shot. Here's somebody that, thinks he has done it all. So I prefer telling people, listen, I'm just somebody who makes things happen. I'm somebody who fixes problems. I'm somebody who does everything from morning till night. Turn on the light in the morning, turn it off at night. But at the same time, I don't live that lavish lifestyle. I do enjoy my lifestyle a lot. I like what I do. I enjoy it. That's why I wake up every morning and look forward to working on my present films and developing new ones and making new friends at the same time. But some of the sacrifices I've had to face with and deal with are financial ones. A lot of these projects have my money in it. I've invested in them because if I don't invest in the projects, how can I expect anyone else to? So I own a lot of companies and a lot of projects. If I sell them all, I'd be a very wealthy man. But basically, I think I'm looking at the long term and not the short term. I think that if I kept all my money and all the money and revenues that I made, I'd live in a great apartment downtown, nice condo. I'd have a nice sports car like most of my friends do. But right now, I drive a little car, gets me around. I have a nice apartment downtown. Barely, and just enough to get by. I live a happy life. I'm great, but I work a lot. I like what I do, so I enjoy working. But sometimes I got to be pulled out of that. I got to enjoy myself a little bit more, which I'm trying to do on a regular basis. So there are sacrifices, to make. People should understand that if they're going to produce, it doesn't happen overnight. I'm on my 11th year, Frank. It's a lot of work. And if anybody is listening and it sounds great and fun, it is. But just understand that it is a choice. It's a lifestyle. It's not something that you do and it just happens overnight. You have to believe in what you do. Otherwise, you're sacrificing for nothing. It's very difficult, when you're going out and you're meeting people and everyone has certain revenues coming in. Mine will come in maybe at a later date, and I know that money will come eventually. That's a given. And it's the journey that gets there that's very interesting for me. That's where I learned the most, because once you get there, everything else will be simple. It's how you did it in the end. I think that counts, and that's where I'm trying to enjoy myself the most at that point.
What are some of your future aspirations?
Future aspirations, I'd like to make films that make a difference. I'd like to make films that a wide variety of people can enjoy in Montreal, in Quebec, in Canada, in North America, around the world. I want my films to travel. I'd like to travel with my films. I'd like to look at different people, different cultures, and be able to contribute to that. And I'd love to win some awards, if only to be recognized for having done that. And I think it's a very modest aspiration. I just want to be the best producer I can be, and hopefully, it'll happen.
With all the time that you put in to being a producer, where do you find the time? Where do you take time away from?
what do I take time away from? Listen, I work in the morning, from 9 in the morning till about 7 at night, sometimes later. And I do work on weekends. I use my weekends to catch up on what I missed during the week. I try to go to a lot of events, a lot of parties, a lot of promotional events, so that I can meet people, keep my ear to the ground, know what's going on. I like to support other filmmakers, and I like to help them out. And I have friends, and we get together now and then. But what do I give up? I give up my social life in a certain way. My entire life is about what I do. And now and then I get tired of talking about it, but it's rare. It's rare. I like to hear what other people are doing too sometimes. I think that it's nice to share.
Vito, thank you so much for coming down in studio
Thank
and
you for
sharing
having me,
some
Frank.
time with us. And before we go, how about giving us that website address one more time so people can get in contact
it's
with you?
www.jackandella.com.
Thank you very much, Vito.
Thanks, Frank.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by Everything Out of Her Mouth is a Test, a man's guide to the emotional needs of women. What would your life be like if you knew exactly what to say and do with women? This book is for the guy that simply wants to learn how to handle women's tests by addressing her emotional needs. By this, you create the type of attraction that will make her see you as the one she was destined to be with. This book will teach you how to get the woman you want and how to keep her. Everything Out of Her Mouth is a Test is the Rosetta Stone for men to understand exactly what a woman means when she speaks and how to respond. Is that worth changing your life forever? Buy this book at franktalks.com now.
Need help with love, sex, dating, or relationship issues? Help from Frank Kermit, the best-selling author and Canada's most international relationship coach, is only a click away at franktalks.com. What do you do when you feel like a fool? When your heart has been broken again? Pick up the phone or get onto Skype and talk on a private session. Yeah, get a little help from Frank Talks. Whoa, whoa, get by with a little help from Frank Talks. You gotta try a little help from Frank Talks. What do you do when your love goes away? Try coaching one-on-one. How do I sign up to turn things around? Just sign up at franktalks.com. Yeah, get by with help from Frank Talks. I get by with a little help from Frank Talks. Time to try a little help from Frank Talks. Doesn't cost a lot of money. It's the best rate going around. But it costs a lot of money. Oh, it's worth every cent that you will put down. Yeah. Frank Talks. Oh, you got to go to get your help from Frank Talks.com. Yeah, yeah. Franktalks.com. Would you believe that Frank gets results? Yes, we're certain. Just read the reviews. Frank knows his stuff, and Frank's got the goods. Good love can soon come to you. Oh, yes, he does. Yeah, yeah. Talks.com.